this is a topic that's really weighing in on my mind for quite some time. Why are blacks leaving their communities behind? Well, you know, there could be various questions that could answer that, of course. And but there are those of us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America who do choose to leave their communities behind, or because they got money or resources where they can move over into the suburbs where the Caucasian whites at, or even move to other neighborhoods around different nationalities where they could afford to live. I mean, because they just have what you call so much self-hatred, or feel like that they are above other dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, which all come from the 400 years of us being molded and entrenched into the slave mentality as a people, you know. But however, there are definitely other reasons behind that too, you know. And the other reason among those, beside the first reason I just mentioned in this video, is because like I've been saying before in previous videos that I've made, and stuff, that a lot of blacks is leaving black neighborhoods or black communities throughout the United States, moving outside, away from around their own people. Because I'm gonna say this: anybody in their right mind want to want to live around people that's civil. They want to live in an environment that's civil. And I'm gonna be honest with you, those of you in the conscious community, especially, who always, speaking out on Caucasian people as being devils and serpents and all this other good stuff, and whatever, that sound good. But at the end of the day, we know in reality, for those of us that understand true reality, that mythical thing called the devil or serpent don't exist. Okay, it's just a myth. Okay, it doesn't fit into the paradigm of humanity whatsoever. And like I said before, you know, you can move around certain Caucasian people and there's civility. So therefore, when you turn around, look back at where you came from, around black people that have the tendency to be more savage, and who's not trying to undo their savagery, where you're constantly in a neighborhood around Caucasians who's trying to be civil, who's trying to raise a family like those blacks who left the black community are trying to do. And they just trying to get on with their lives, whether they're family people or even single people, even like myself, you know. Uh, I feel like this: that supersedes color lines at that point, because you know, at the end of the day, And this has been proven since the inception of man's history on this planet that evil, wickedness, savagery supersedes all color lines, and that's just the bottom line to the reality of it. And, you know, when you start thinking outside the box and get beyond the, so-called religious conscious divinity uh, teachings that so many of our people have gotten trapped in with their thinking, one will understand that, like I say, again, it don't really matter what your color is, as long as you know how to conduct yourself in a civil manner, and even, you know, I've heard people teaching the Nation of Islam that the Caucasian don't even want nothing to do with you if you're not about trying to be civil. There are Caucasians who don't want to be around people, even let alone black people, but some of their own people, you know, when it comes to acting uncivilized. Okay. So my thing is this. Once again, that supersedes all color lines. That's just like saying that drug addiction supersedes all color lines. Drug addiction don't care what your race or nationality or culture is. Well, that goes also for how a person civilly conducts themselves, you know, in terms of humanity, period. And the reality is that a, there are a lot of blacks that's leaving the black community. Like I say, not so much as just because of self-hatred or, you think you better than us. You want to be an uppity Negro and all this. Well, again, like I say, and as I said before, starting with this video, when it began, that there are various reasons to this question as to why blacks are leaving the black community. And blacks are leaving the black community because they are living mostly in fear of their lives. They're living precautious lives because of the fact that they can't even walk out their houses or apartments and feel safe in their own neighborhoods around those that look like them because they uh fear or worry about being robbed, kidnapped, raped, you know, carjacked, where their children can't even go out front or in the front yard and play, or even in the backyard and play, because they might be caught up in shootings that don't have nothing to do with them, that could lead to them fatally getting shot or someone dying in the process, all over because a bunch of ignorant Negroes is recklessly shooting at each other and not caring about the innocent bystanders. And this happens all the time throughout uh, black communities across America. And those of us that was raised in what they call the hood understand and know that to be the truth. So I ain't got to go through the theatrics in that manner to explain simply why blacks and large numbers are leaving the black community. And like I said again, who wants to raise their children around savagery? You know, like in Chicago, for an example, you know, those that are in dark skinned communities in that particular metropolitan area, they can't even go to school and feel safe because they got to cross paths with rival gangs, especially if they are into that life on the streets, far as gang violence is concerned and stuff, or being affiliated with a gang. And those that are not affiliated with gang related activities still got to go to school or worry about coming home from school or, being confronted by rival gang members or gang members, period. To the point where they would even get killed right on site, either because they are actually a gang rival member or a non or rival member of a gang. And this goes on in not only Chicago, but places like Detroit, Atlanta, LA, Oakland, different other parts of California where gangs is rampant at, and stuff like that. I remember, you know, even when I mentioned in another video where I couldn't even leave out just to sit on the front porch of my apartment in my hometown in Detroit, Michigan, just to drink a cup of coffee in peace or at least enjoy fresh air in peace because I have to worry about some fool driving by randomly aiming a pistol in my direction. And this happens all the time, whereas where I live at, and also which happens to be in a more white majority area, part of the country, in that same situation is something that I don't have to worry about, not at least on the usual basis as I would in a more populated black area or neighborhood in this country. So, like I said before, the reality of the whole situation is that, you know, I am at the point of my life as a dark skinned descendant of slaves born in America, who's in my early 50s, at least thankfully, because there are a lot of people who was born around the same time I was that didn't even make it to C25, either because they dead or they sitting in prison somewhere for the rest of their life. So like I said, the reality of the situation is that um, I'm at that that point where even if I have to move to another state where it's even more or less of black people, in terms of who I refer to call dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, then so be it. Because I'm tired of being around other darker skinned people who are descendants of slaves born in America as myself, that I constantly got to be on pins and needles worrying about, that I have to take precautionary action constantly against, just to make sure that my own safety and best interest is ensured, just because they see me trying to get ahead in life. And out of envy and jealousy, they don't want to see me get ahead in life. So they'll try to throw some monkey wrench type of obstacle on my way to prevent me from getting ahead in whatever I'm trying to do. Like I say, because out of fear that they think I might excel them in whatever I'm doing and all that type of nonsense, you know. And this is what I even have to deal with where I'm living at when it comes to our people. And it's not even that many black people where I live at. But that same reality exists among us as a people, unfortunately. Whether it's a lot more of us or less of us in different pockets across this country, you know. So, like I said, even in the future, you know, which I have been focusedly considering on doing, and which is still up for being the prospect of my future existence, is that I may be moving to another state where I hardly may not see other dark skinned descendants of slaves that look like me, you know, or dark skinned descendants of slaves like me that's born in of those slaves born in America who look like me. That I may not even see another dark skinned descendant of a slave born in America, but every once in a blue moon, instead of walking out my apartment, seeing one every day, you know, where I probably won't see one in another state where it's definitely not many blacks at all, almost period. Where I might not see another black person for at least months at a time. Or how about this, even for years at a time, depending on where I'm living in that particular state, which definitely has even less percent of dark-skinned descendants of slaves living in such a particular state like that. So, you know, for those who may even disagree or don't concur with what I'm saying, you know, I really could care even more or less. Because number one, personally, those of you who think that way, in contrast to what I'm saying in this video, you're not paying my bills. You're not keeping no roof over my head. You're not putting no money in my pocket. You're not putting no food on the table for me. You know, so I could less care. You're not putting no shoes on my feet. So I could less care what you think about, you know, my outlook concerning this situation that I'm speaking about in this video. I could care very less. I really can. And then you're not trying to do nothing to straighten out the condition of our people so that our people won't have to be so willing to pack up and leave and go move to other different ethnic communities or even to other states or cities where it's lesser and lesser populations of dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. So, like I said, you know, I can less care what you think. You're not trying to better the condition of the communities you live in, you know, and then plus, long as our people have that mentality, especially in so-called urban metropolitan areas around America, you know, as far as don't tell, don't snitch type mentality, you know, hey, how can you even speak against another so-called Negro that want to leave to get away from that type of environment where they got to constantly live in fear of their life every day, fear of their safety, fear of their family safety of being, you know? And I'm going to just speak on something briefly also in this video since I'm on this topic in this video. Uh, you know, since I've been gone from Detroit, Michigan, um, over recently ago, it was about a couple of years or so ago, and it was a immediate relative on one of my immediate sides of the family who was on her way home from work in Detroit. Now, mind you, I had been gone from Detroit by that time, and for about over a couple of years, I think. But anyway, um, she was coming home from work, and she ended up getting caught up in the middle of a shootout between some crazy niggas who was just aimlessly shooting at each other and not caring about any innocent bystander that was in the way of them shooting at each other. And so as a result, my cousin got shot. And if it had not been for a friend who had called the EMS to come get her so she could get some immediate medical attention, she would have probably died from the way I heard that she was profusely bleeding at a bus stop while they was waiting on the emergency ambulance to come give her medical assistance. And, you know, see, this is the type of stuff that I cannot sit up and any longer, you know, browbeat down other black people about when they choose to want to leave the black community because of this nonsenseless violence and craziness that they constantly got to live in fear of every day, alone even with their families. So like I said, um, I used to think that way, especially when I was in the conscious black community myself. I used to think like that. And fortunately for me, as time went on, and as I started becoming more of aware about things I've learned over the years, as time went along, I started unlearning them. And by me unlearning them things that I was taught over the years that simply just didn't add up and making sense. Um, you know, I came to a point, like in this case, that I can't knock other black people who choose to want to move out the black community, because of them having to worry about constant safety precautions. I mean, hey, you got elders who've been living all their life. It's no telling when their days on earth might end at any given time. And they just trying to enjoy the rest of their days of life in peace, but can't do it because either they got to constantly live in fear of being robbed or even raped. Raped. Matter of fact, before I left the Detroit area some years back, it was some juveniles, some teenager juveniles that raped an 80-year-old woman. Literally, juvenile teens were caught for raping an 80-year-old woman. And they ended up going to jail over it and stuff. And I mean, this is just degenerate, low savage behavior. Like that rapper Chuck D, a Public Enemy, used to say, how low can you go? And that's what that boils down to the fact that we are becoming more of a degenerated people with degenerated behaviors. And like I say, yes, 400 years of slavery does have its root causes to this, but at the same time, we cannot keep on using our history of 400 years of oppression as well to cling on to as an excuse for these degenerate behaviors that we constantly are, acting out with, especially toward each other. And so I could understand why, let alone our own people that among us that choose to leave and go move around white people or whatever, don't want to be around us. But I could understand why even other ethnic groups or so-called ethnic or race groups in this country don't want to be around us. And like I say, the manner of how we conduct ourselves, especially in the ignorant state that we're in, like I say once again, which we don't have no excuse of using that as a cataclysm excuse, as I would say, to keep doing what we doing. I can understand why they don't want to be around us. I really don't. I really can. And even those darker skinned people who come from other different continents or different region parts of the world, like the Caribbean or so-called Africa, you know, don't even want to be around us. I used to see that in places like New York City and Detroit, where I've lived in my life. And as far as metropolitan areas go, Atlanta, where um I see them different dark skinned immigrants from different parts of the world, and they look at us just like white folks and not want to be around us, and made sure that they didn't have to be around us, let alone even living next to us, unless they were in our communities capitalizing off us and our stupidity on a daily basis. And then when it was time to close shop, they went on back to their neighborhoods, just like they do every day, like with the Koreans, the Arabs, who own all the businesses as well, and our black communities that we so claim to be proud of, but ain't trying to protect from other people, you know, but yet we can't even protect each other from each other in our own community. So we get mad or jealous or upset as some other dark-skinned descendant of a slave born in America when they choose to make that decision to leave the black community and branch out and go live elsewhere around other people that may not look like them or so forth. So, like I said, it's at this point in time that we can't keep on even blaming them. And every day, you know, when I look up, and like I said, in a particular part of the country where I'm living at right now, beside where I'm from, you know, like I said, it's very less black people, but I still got to deal with the prospect of my own people trying to criminally harm me as well as I would a Caucasian racist. And it's more of them, like I say, in this particular situation. But I still got to constantly keep my eye on my own people at the same time. And that's sickening. Matter of fact, that's beyond even the saying of the word sickening. It's just got that degenerate among us as a people. It's like lions in a cage not wanting to be around other lions. You know, or in the wildlife, lions, tigers, and other wild animals, you know, who seek some kind of way, according to nature, you know, to be on a constant precautionary defense because they know what a fellow creature like them or who look like them is capable of doing. And that's the nature that we have developed over the hundreds of years of our sojourn as a people in this country, far as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. You know, that we don't know that when we might strike at each other in a negative way at any given time, harming each other, doing anything to tear each other apart, especially over trivial issues or issues that don't even add up to the reason why we tearing each other apart, you know, or trying to bring each other down. So, like I said, you know, at least one thing about the Caucasian, especially the racist ones, is that at least you know what you're dealing with. You ain't got to second guess that. But with us, as dark skinned descendants of slaves born in America, you know, you don't know how a situation might turn out once we encounter each other, whether it's in the streets or even in places like in the work field, the education field, or, you know, wherever we might see each other at in public. We don't know how things might turn out when it comes to violence, when it comes to just, walking past each other, not even wanting to be in each other's presence. I mean, it's just gotten that bad with us as a people. And I have to say that the fact of the matter is that, you know, uh, Operation Exodus Mississippi, a platform which I belong to, uh, which we have a YouTube page called such, which is Operation Exodus Mississippi, which we talk about, taking over the politics of a state, which happens to be Mississippi, because of it being more of a highly population of us as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America who reside in that state, where we could come together and carve out a new reality for ourselves where we ain't got to worry about, the reality of what I'm speaking on in this video, in terms of not even feeling safe to live around each other, let alone us not being able to come together on a common accord to make life better for us as a people, period, and better for the generations to come behind us, which is more important. So that our people, for once and for all, especially in the future generations coming behind us, won't know nothing about what it is to be a slave, a Negro, or a statistic who's being profiled or brutalized by the police, or caught up in the racist system of mass incarceration, and so forth and on. You know, so like I said before, you know, this is the reason why I even bother with being concerned with the plight of us as a people in general, who I refer to call dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. Because with all these labels put on us, like I say, far as the racist mass incarceration thing, us being racially profiled and harassed and brutalized by police every day in this country, just alone based off the color of our skin and all that. And then we got to turn around and worry about our own people attacking us from all different kind of fronts, because we want to constantly keep tearing each other down and holding each other down and all this other crap. You know, is the reason why I'm even on that platform, so that we could carve out a separate existence from what we see our people going throughout the rest of America. But assumingly, if that cannot be successfully done, like I said, me personally, I would continue on, if that's what you want to call it, being isolated from the rest of the masses of dark skinned descendants of slaves born in this country. Because what use is it for me as a dark skinned descendant of a slave born in America, moving someplace like back east, or whether it's on the west east coast, or especially down south, just to live around a bunch of darker skinned descendants of slaves born in America, you know, who's degenerately turning into savages on a constant daily basis. You know, I mean, we got to look, we got to even look and see what's going on in the so called Black conscious community, whether it's on social media or off social media, where you still got brothers in the Nation of Islam constantly, fighting and killing each other, or even willing to fight and kill each other if they feel it's that necessary for whatever reason, But the fact of it is that those of us that are in the Black conscious community is supposed to want to see a better existence for our people that separates us as well from that type of behavior. But yet, you know, we're no different than the average common Negro that we make mockery of, you know, because we will to kill each other, just like with those in the Nation of Islam who was responsible for the death of Malcolm X, just like those in groups like the Moorish Science Temple of America, the new Black Panther Party, even, like I remember over a couple years ago reading online where uh, members in the new Black Panther Party started by the late Dr. Khalid Muhammad, uh, you know, under the watch of Malik Shabazz, brutally and physically attacked a brother who was a part of the original Black Panther Party that started in the 1960s in Oakland, California, under Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals. I mean, it was just bad. I mean, they was in some type of kind of hotel or area where they was holding some type of kind of function down in Atlanta, and the brother went up in there and stuff, and things just got chaotic. Where they jumped on this elder and literally caused physical damage and harm to him, where he even had to go receive medical attention. For what? You know? And so, like I'm saying, we fighting and killing each other, even when we supposed to be so-called conscious, or as they would say among the younger generation of us, awoke, and but yet we still practicing the same degenerate behaviors of those among our people on the street that we constantly make mockery of. One, in fact, in reality, those of you that claim Black consciousness is definitely no different from when it comes to being a nigger, and I mean, the reality of it is that I just feel like at this point in time, you know, like I was going to say before, or if I already have said in this video, that unless this campaign called Operation Exodus Mississippi uh, materializes off the ground, you know, that me and the brother Talik Ibn Rod started uh 9 months ago this year of 2018. Far as the ideal of this campaign of Operation Exodus Mississippi, then I'm just gonna have to remain, as many of you would call it, isolated from my own people. Yes. And for the record on the books, for the record with what I'm saying, you could you know, put that out there, because I don't give a damn. Once again, I could less care. You know, and most of you that make mockery of those that want to isolate themselves from other black people, or who are dark skinned descendants of slaves born in America, uh, you know, who choose to isolate themselves from other dark skinned descendants of slaves born in America because of all of what I've mentioned in this video. Um, I mean, hey, you know, within show and improve to help make a better way so that our people won't have to isolate from each other like that. How about that? You know, which most of you ain't doing and ain't gonna do no way. All you gonna do is sit on your ass, on your happy ass, as Brother Talik would say, and ain't gonna do nothing. Just like Brothers Talik say, that's all you gonna do is sit on your happy ass and ain't gonna do nothing but talk a bunch of nonsense and talk about each other, especially throughout social media and all that other crap. You know, so like I say, at the end of the day, you know, I can less really care. You know, and by the way, in closing out, uh, you know, far as death is concerned, yeah, I worry about taking my chances of dying around the racists. They may even bury me without cost. Whereas in my own black community, my body will probably be laying up in the funeral home, decaying, because my family can't afford to pay my funeral expenses. Like in the case of multiple funeral homes, like back home in Detroit, Michigan, where I'm from, where dead body parts of infants. Wait a minute, hold on. Did I say infants? Yeah, infants being left hid up in ceilings of funeral homes. You know, people's ashes still sitting in funeral homes. People who is improperly you know, tended to by the mortuary in the funeral homes. Bodies still laying up there, decayed, ain't being given a proper burial. Although the funeral homes promise even those relatives that could not fully afford to pay for their loved one deceased funeral costs, that they would make sure they had a proper burial. but could not even, stand by their word on that. So they just let their bodies lay up in there in the funeral home and rot, you know, and all that type of stuff. So as a result, they've been under investigation, even which has been talks about leading to possible criminal charges because of this, as well as lawsuits and all that, you know. So, like I said, I could care less. Yeah, I'd rather die around the races if that got so be it. At least, and if they don't bury me, at least they'd throw me somewhere out in the wilderness so some wolves could eat my dead carcasses away, But either way it goes, you know, while the dead wolves is tearing into my while the wolves is tearing into my dead carcasses, at least I won't have to be worrying about while I'm dead. Once I'm dead, I won't have to be worrying about if I'll be in a position to where I'll be laying in a funeral home unattended to because I can't get a proper burial and because the funeral don't care enough to have the decency and integrity to make sure I get a proper burial or at least cremated to where my ashes could be given back to those loved ones that I'm close to, you know. So like I said, I can less care about what other darker skinned people think, period. Whether they coming from the so-called conscious perspective or just from the straight up ignorant nigger perspective of things, I could care less. Like I said, if I have to go to a state like Montana, which ain't nothing but wide open country, I do that. Live my to live the rest of my days in peace. Why I ain't got to be around no nigga self-hatred. For those of you that's always screaming self-hatred of Negroes or Negro self-hatred. I ain't got to worry about dealing with none of that. Because I won't have to worry about the effects of being around it on a constant basis, especially. So, hey, I could care less how I die. Or even like I say, if it is around a bunch of Caucasian races who either may bury me or who may allow me to be thrown into the wilderness, you know, so that the pigs or wolves could have at it with me over my dead carcasses. But at least I'll be long dead and gone at that point. Well, I won't have to worry about none of that crap, you know. So far as that's concerned, you know, I could care. I mean, all that funeral stuff anyway ain't nothing but a bunch of tradition, like religion. It ain't nothing but a bunch of traditionalism, which people is economically and financially capitalizing off of every day, and so, like I said, it ain't nothing but tradition, you know. Once you die, you die. And the thing about human nature is once you born, you start dying anyway. Because as days and months and years go by, your body start decaying. as you get older. So eventually, one is going to meet death's fate. There's no human on earth in history that could escape that. And as Brother Talik would say, that's a fact. So like I said, I'm not worried about death. I'm starting to be more or less worried about death. I'm not worrying about death. It's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. However it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It don't make no difference. And it don't make no difference where it happens at or who it happens around. So, I don't care nothing about all that. That means nothing to me, especially when it comes to standing on moral and integrity uh principles, far as the naturalness of humanity, you know. So like I said, I really don't want to be involved around no people that's not about civility, that's not trying to be civil, and since it happens to be that the races who do run this country and control things in this country, as well as the rest of the world, uh, you know, like here in certain pockets of America, have been able to maintain low crime rates and stuff. Hey, you know, I don't mind living in that type of environment. Because again, like I said, after I started this video, and who in their right mind want to constantly keep living around that type of stuff or living in fear because they can't even go sit out on their front porch without worrying about being shot over some stupidity they don't have nothing to do with. Who wants to live like that? I mean, who wants to live like that? You know, I mean, what human in their right sane mind wants to live like that? So like I said, all that nonsense about well, blacks shouldn't leave the black community. They should stay here and keep their money in the black community. Man, listen, let me tell you something about that. And this is the reason why a lot of blacks who own businesses in the black community in the past decided to sell their businesses over to the Koreans or Arabs because they got tired of getting robbed, okay? They got tired of their businesses getting stuck up. Especially if they wasn't paying off certain gains, far as ransom money or extortion money go, just to keep their businesses. And oh yeah, this type of stuff goes on in the black community, or was when blacks had more businesses in the black community, or because certain black businesses didn't tolerate a lot of things that went on negatively in the black community. So they was considered as either Uncle Tom's, sellouts, and all this other stuff. And they get their businesses, you know, broken too, or even to the point of being burnt down. So they said to hell with this and sold their businesses over to the Arabs. But When you living in an environment in a society that produces this type of element of things, what the hell you expect? This is the reason why we here at Operation Exodus, Mississippi, got this platform set up so that we could take control of a state as far as its politics, like in the case of Mississippi, where we could successfully carve out a reality to change all that, as far as our condition as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. And then once those next door to us in Alabama and places in Georgia see what we're successfully doing in Mississippi, then they could follow suit. Or anywhere else where there's a nice majority size of dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. So, like I said, this is the reality that we want. But when you're living under the foot of the oppressor, far as even owning businesses and all this other tiddly biddly stuff, you know, don't really make a damn difference when it ain't gonna last anyway. And this is the case with those of us in the Black community. Among those of us who are actually dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. This is why we give up our businesses and homes and go move to other areas where it's different people that don't look like us. Because we're tired of being around people who don't want to change their condition anyway from that negative aspect of things. So, I mean, what you expect? And that's the bottom line to that. That's all it's simply boiled down to. Once you leave all the theatrics and debates and distorted other opinions out of the equation, that's what it simply boils down to. But there are those who don't want to face exactly simple reality as it is, so they go around circles with all these different opinions and debates and all this other crap that don't amount up to nothing when it comes to simply what the reality is of where we're at as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, and the fact of what we truly need to do to isolate or quarantine ourselves away from that in terms of separating ourselves from that as well, with a back a simple word term. And like I said before, at the end of the day, we're just a pathetic people, who want to even make mockery of those of us, even like myself, who choose to isolate ourselves from such existence of savagery and ignorance. And I hope those blacks who do got money, or even those who don't got money, find a way to continue on moving out of these black communities or black areas or heavily populated areas with black people like Detroit, Chicago, New Orleans, Atlanta, Oakland, Gary, Indiana, certain places in New York City where there's a lot of black people. Newark, New Jersey, Baltimore, Maryland. You know, and where they could go and live out their lives the best way they can without having to constantly live in fear because of someone else that looked like them at that point where, we can't keep on just switching our attention constantly at the Caucasian and saying, oh, see, nah, we have a choice today. We're not totally held down in physical shackles as our ancestors was in chattel slavery. We got multiple choices to improve ourselves and our condition as a people. But like I said, those among 44 plus million of us massively at this time and point are not doing that. So, in that case being said, you know, I would applaud and salute those blacks who lead the black community because they want to go somewhere else and find another better way of life or better existence, just to even be free of where's more crime at, who just want to peacefully live in more safety and more better safety. I mean, who wants to live around in a more better safe environment? Like I said, anybody in their right mind won't see nothing wrong with that. Anybody in their right sane mind don't see nothing wrong with that. I mean, ask Louis Farrakhan, the same man that say buy black, support black businesses, do this, black that. But he done took his ass on the outskirts of Chicago, where he living in a lavish mansion with his family, enjoying the life of the riches and wealth, fame, fortune that he's obtained off the suffering of our people. you know, in Chicago, in a place where you have majority of poor black people, homeless black people, you know, and then they got a restaurant called the Salam Restaurant, which they operating in a poor black area in Chicago, where they charging people, overcharging people, senseless prices for food that they can't even afford to pay for. But you want to talk about support your own black businesses. Well, no wonder why black businesses don't last, especially when they charging outrageous prices for food or other products that the Arab or Korean or Chinese will sell you at a cheaper rate, you know? And honestly, that'll go for more worth your money. I mean, I'm just kicking reality facts. You know, those of you, even if you have anything in the comment section to say negatively about it, you can say what you want to say because I could less care. Again, the facts I've laid out in this video is simple and straightforward, and You could try to challenge me on it. I welcome you to do so. But far as how that result will be in terms of even a debate, which I welcome also. Good luck with trying to you know, bring anything to disprove what I'm saying in this video. Good luck once again with that on trying to bring anything to disprove the truth that I'm speaking of in this video. Once again. So like I said, for those of you that's in YouTube land, on Facebook or anywhere else in social media that's listening to this video, and those of you in the comment section also listening in on this video, I'd like to give my shout outs to you. And also, if you got any questions, jot them down in the comment section and get back with your brother. Uh, and also, I just want to say this for one last time before I close out. Um, you know, this is about our future generations. You know, I mean, if we can't at least put our heads together, especially with this Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign thing, to do something just to make a complete better life for our future generations coming behind us from our oppression as a people in this country for once and for all, then we might as well not even look forward to seeing a future generation coming from behind us. And that's all I got for now. So peace.